Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Christina Pollard. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, victims of the Quakers Hill nursing home fire remembered, calls for Fairfield Council to change its zoning laws, and a family dog involved in a groundbreaking cancer treatment trial. But first, security images have been released as part of investigations into a deliberately lit blaze that gutted a Western Sydney factory. The fire ripped through the storage container factory at St Mary's in the early hours of January 23. Firefighters spent 5 hours battling the blaze, which was the second to hit that site in that week. Images of a man entering a car at the factory complex shortly after the fire started were released by police on Thursday. Victims of the Quakers Hill nursing home fire tragedy will be remembered with a memorial on the site when the facility is rebuilt. 11 people died when the blaze swept through the home last November, and operator Domain Principal is now rebuilding the facility. A registered nurse will face court next month on 10 counts of murder over the blaze. A group of Cecil Park residents have called on Fairfield Council to change zoning laws in rural areas to permit the building of granny flats on residential properties. Sonia Lopriato was joined by her parents Eddie and Tanya Canto at a meeting in Horsley Park recently to discuss the effects of the Fairfield Local Environmental Plan. The family proposed the introduction of granny flat developments in rural zones.
As our parents get older, we need them to be closer to us. And as we need to work 2 people per family, we need to have help. So if you can't have your parents to help you, who can you rely on?
Penrith and Liverpool councils allow granny flats to be built on residential properties, and Mr Canto said he wanted Fairfield to be added to the list so he could remain close to his daughter.
Every parent needs to stay close to the kids, and if they got the opportunity. So building a granny flat here probably will cost 150, 160. To buy a house, well, today to buy a house it's a lot of money.
While Fairfield City Council adopted its draft local environment plan to allow granny flats to be built on residential properties, it has now been sent to the Department of Planning and Infrastructure for determination.
A government spokesman said a secondary dwelling could qualify for a fast-tracked approval if it met development provisions in the state environmental planning policy. The Environment Protection Agency has started court proceedings against DuPont after determining a leak at the company's Girraween herbicide plant killed hundreds of trees, shrubs and gardens. DuPont has been ordered to appear before the Land and Environment Court on May 18. A DuPont spokeswoman previously said the company's own investigations had shown the plant operated to the highest emission control standards. A transport modeller says 2 proposed freight terminals would create traffic havoc in Liverpool. Narelle Vandenbos has told Liverpool Council trucks from the 2 developments will have a devastating effect on major intersections in the area, particularly the Hume Highway. Residents are also worried about health impacts of the truck movements. ANSTO Chief Executive Addie Patterson says Australia has benefited from nuclear medicine and now had a responsibility to deal with its byproducts. About 13 square metres of nuclear waste will be stored in a $30 million purpose-built facility for up to 5 years. Politicians and residents have condemned the plan, but ANSTO says the waste will generate no more radiation than that experienced on a flight from Australia to Europe. Residents of St Clair, Erskine Park and Eastern Creek are fed up with a pungent smell that has been lingering in the area for more than a year. The Environment Protection Authority is investigating to try to find the source following about 60 complaints in March and April. Some residents say the odour is so bad it can be tasted in the air. Possible sources include landfills and waste composting facilities in Eastern Creek and sewage treatment infrastructure. Koalas could become Macarthur's secret weapon in the battle to stop Sydney's second airport being built at Wilton. The federal government listed koalas as vulnerable in New South Wales, Queensland and the ACT on Monday, allowing the government to intervene in development plans that would affect koala habitat. But the listing could become an issue for the government if koala territory in Wilton is in danger of being bulldozed to make way for an airport. University of Western Sydney koala expert Robert Close says he's found koalas in and around Wilton as part of his studies.
They have the same food trees out there. It possibly may even be a little more fertile, which would be be better for the koalas. So my feeling is there's probably a decent breeding population there, but that would have to be ascertained. And of course, if they push ahead with the airport planning, that will be a major part of it. And because it's now declared vulnerable at a federal level, the federal government will have to do a thorough survey of the place.
He said an airport would destroy the breeding area and supporting infrastructure would also be a threat. Wallandilly Mayor Cole Mitchell, Wallandilly State MP Jai Rowell and Macarthur Federal MP Russell Matheson all hope the koalas will help deter airport plans for Wilton. Environment Minister Tony Burke said he was determined to protect the koalas, but that didn't mean developments wouldn't go ahead. A Caringbah photographer has captured the role of women in rodeo riding for a new exhibition called See Jane Run. The exhibit features the work of 4 female photographers who wanted to examine gender roles and body image.
We just want to challenge some of the accepted notions of how women are portrayed in media and advertising. So, you know, everyone's sort of used to seeing women in ads with, you know, big breasts and super photoshopped, looking perfect. And we just want to kind of put it out there that, you know, this is how girls really look. They don't necessarily have to look flawless and perfect. Like, it's okay to, you know, have a few wrinkles and a few rolls or whatever that person looks like.
Photographer Anna Waugh chose to shoot girls who competed in rodeos across New South Wales to highlight that the sport is not just for boys.
When I first heard the term rodeo, I think of, you know, men riding bulls and doing the cowboy sort of stuff in the arena, and I thought about that and realised that it's because that's the image that's most often put out there. I think that women in rodeo is not something that people tend to focus on.
15-year-old Kelly Shedden is a rodeo rider from Janali and one of the subjects in the exhibit. The Year 10 student has been competing in rodeos since she was 10 years old.
I love the thrill. I love going fast. I'm not into like going slow and doing stuff that you see at the Easter show. But it's fun, different. No one really around this area knows about it.
Kelly trains at Helensburgh after school and will compete in the National Championships this weekend.
I get nervous, real nervous. That in the barrel racing I don't get as nervous, but when I ride pony broncs I get nervous thinking, am I going to hurt myself, sort of thing.
The exhibition opens at Depot Gallery at Waterloo on May 15. A police dog who took down one of the state's most wanted fugitives is set to star in a new photography exhibition. Police dog Chuck bit Malcolm Naden on the leg during his capture and arrest west of Gloucester in March. Now Chuck and handler Senior Constable Luke Warburton are the subjects of an exhibition being shot by Blue Mountains photographer David Darcy. Darcy said it was daunting shooting only 30 centimetres from a dog known as one of the best biters in the squad. Thousands of people flocked to Sydney's annual Fitness and Health Expo at Darling Harbour on the weekend. Held over 3 days, the event had a distinctly Olympic flavour with a state of origin weightlifting competition involving international weightlifters, as well as the annual Fit Bloke and Chick Challenges. The International Natural Bodybuilding Association also held its Sydney Championships at the Expo, which saw men and women competing on stage over 2 days. Part of Rouse Hill Town Centre will resemble a cross between a shanty town and a music festival when it hosts a pre-winter sleep out on Friday, May 11. Organisers hope to raise $10,000 for Parramatta Mission. The event extends a food recovery program run by the centre's owner that sees retailers donating nutritious food at the end of each day's trade for distribution to needy people across Western Sydney. The family event starts at 6 p.m. And in sport, Blacktown teacher Sarah Ho has become the first woman to be appointed as an A-League soccer referee. The former player admits she was initially reluctant to make the switch, but now absolutely loves the role, which has taken her to countries around the world. Sarah says she's looking forward to going to the London Olympic Games later this year. And finally, a Blue Mountains family dog is taking part in a groundbreaking cancer treatment trial that could mean the end of conventional chemotherapy. 12-year-old Bradman began treatment in the Angenic trial after being diagnosed with a brain tumour in December last year. The treatment sees genetically engineered bacteria injected into Bradman's bloodstream, which then targets the tumour cells with chemotherapy.
The treatment involves a targeted chemotherapy, which instead of it being a full body chemotherapy as it normally would be the traditional treatment for anything like this, which affects other parts of the body and probably the quality of life to a degree, Ungenic have created a targeted mini-cell chemo treatment which goes directly to where the tumour is.
After only 5 weeks of receiving the treatment, an MRI revealed Bradman's tumour was so small it was almost impossible to see.
It was found that the tumour that had originally shown as being a centimetre in size had reduced so much that it was almost not visible. So in the 5 weeks, the treatment had the most amazing effect.
Results from the canine trials are being used to develop the technology for humans, and the second stage of trials is now being planned for between 20 and 30 cancer patients. And that's all the news we have time for today. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. We'll see you next time.